This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Baruch Haba. Thanks, everybody, for joining us this morning. Thank you, Reb Gordon, for sponsoring the breakfast. We wish the Zisolt's family bracha v'atzlacha, good health, b'suras tovos, adbias gal tzedek. Okay, so here's the program. This is the beginning of the new cycle of, we call it Mishna Berura Daf Hashavua. We learn a Daf of Mishna Berura a week. So a Daf means two sides. Okay? A Daf is two sides. The program we're going to do Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. on Zoom. So wherever you are, you're in the car, you're still didn't get up yet, wherever you happen to be, you're ready to go to sleep for the day, you just turn on the Zoom at 9 a.m. If that's not possible, it's going to be recorded. You can listen to it anytime. A blot Mishna Berura starts with Daf Daled. So don't get confused. The first Daf, Shah starts with Daf Beis. Mishna Berura starts with Daf Daled in most editions. Sunday, the plan is we're going to review the Daf with the Seif for Shoneh Halachos. Shoneh Halachos was written by Reb Chaim Kanievsky, and it's a kitzer of the Mishna Berura. Okay, so that's the general program. Hopefully, we could review in Sunday in one sitting that week's Daf, but it's work in progress. Over Pesach, we might miss a Sunday, so I figured let's get a head start in the review. So even though we're reviewing something we never learned yet, okay? Sometimes you got to review something you never learned. So that's what we're doing today. For all you here, for those listening, we're now reviewing what we didn't learn yet. Now, the Shoneh Halachos is Mekatzer, the Mechaber, the Ramah, and the Mishna Berura, the Bir Halacha, and the Sha'ar Tzion. Just very quickly, you know that the Mishna Berura is a commentary on the Shulchan Aruch. So many Sfardim ask, should I learn Mishna Berura? First of all, Rabbi Ovadia held very much that the Mishna Berura is the preeminent commentary on the Shulchan Aruch. That doesn't mean that Sfardim are going to follow the final rulings of the Mishna Berura, but it's definitely the most important commentary written on the Mishna Berura. We'll see. We'll see if we could try to speak out the Halacha L'maisa for everybody, but for the Sfardim, if you please share with me if there's any discrepancy. Now, the Mishna Berura is a commentary on the Shulchan Aruch Ramah. The Bir Halacha is more lengthy discussions of the Halacha. At least in the beginning, the plan is to learn the Bir Halachas. Meaning, not on Sunday, Monday through Thursday. It's like learning, Mishna Berura would be like Rashi, and Bir Halacha would be like Tosfos. So it's a little bit of an ambitious, so we'll see how it goes, It's always good to start big. Sha'ar Tzion are basically footnotes, like annotations, what the source of all the halachos are. Okay, so away we go. Shoneh Halachos, and Reb Chaim starts by quoting, he does not tell you the first thing the Mechaber says. The first thing the Mechaber says is, Yisgaber ka'ari lamoid ba'boker la'avodas boroi. Get up in the morning like a lion, right? And there's a gematria. What's the gematria on Yisgaber ka'ari? Did you mention it to me? The gematria of Yisgaber ka'ari is Rabbi Yosef Karo. Okay. But anyway, the first comment that Reb Chaim summarizes that which the Ramah says. And that is the second Hagash, Shivisi Hashem lenegdi tamed. I place Hashem before me always. Hu klal gadol b'Torah. This is a very general principle in the Torah. Uve malois hatzadikim. And in the attributes of the tzadikim. Meaning, the principle of the Torah is, you could be under your covers, you could be in a basement somewhere, you could be at work, wherever you are, the Rebbeinu Hashem's in front of you. And specifically what that means is, of course, an awareness Hashem's in front of you. And Kabbalistically, that means you always picture the Yud Kei Vav Kei in front of you. So that's why certain Ashkenazim are makbet to daven in Sephardi trailers. Why? Because this way we always have the picture of the Yud Kei Vav Kei in front of us, v'mekayim the Arizal's definition of Shvis Hashem lenegdi tamed. Let's say many Sidurim have on the top of every page Yud Kei Vav Kei. Why? Shivisi Hashem lenegdi samid. Now, we're going to see we'll come to that. So this is a very general rule in the Mailos of Tzadikim, Asher Holchem Lefnei Elokim, who walk before Hashem. Ki kasher Yitzayer ben Navshay, when a person envisions Shu Oimed Tamid Lefnei Hashem Yisrach, that he's always standing before the Ribbon Shalom, Ki HaKadosh Baruch Hu molei kol haaretz kavoidai. Now this is not an imagination, because in reality Hashem in fact does fill the whole world. V'oimed olav, and the Rebbe Hashem is standing over you. V'roya b'masav, and he sees your actions. So that's a very big safeguard. Wherever you are, you're at work. Maybe you could do something unethical, or you have an interaction with another person and you want to get angry and you want to wring the other person's neck. But wait, the Rebbe Hashem is watching you. V'roya b'masav, he sees your actions. Miyad yagia elav hayira. So immediately you will be taken with fear. V'hachna, in humility. Mipachad Hashem Yisbarach, from the fear of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Uboishtoi mimeno tamid, and shame before him always. Now, I want to share with you Matana min Hashemayim. Okay? I've read this many, many times in my life. And for the first time, I asked the following question. Why is the Ramah all of a sudden giving a Musar Shmuz? Always picture Hashem in front of you. Now, the Ramah is a comment on the Mechaber, and I'll get more into this when we read it inside in the Mechaber. The Ramah is a Haggah, a comment on the Mechaber. What did the Mechaber say that elicited this Musar Shmuz? Always imagine Hashem standing in front of you. What did the Mechaber say? He just said, get up like a lion. So the truth is, I never chapped this before. If you read out the whole Ramah, Reb Chaim doesn't even bring down the whole thing. It stops by, you'll immediately be taken by fear, fine. And you'll think about Hashem when you go to sleep at night. And as soon as you get up in the morning. And that's how you'll be able to be Mizgaber Kari, Lamoy Baboiker. Meaning, the Mechaber said, get up like a lion. So the Ramah has one simple question. We can get up like a lion. It's not a very easy thing to do, to get up like a lion. First of all, when Jews wake up in the morning, their throat hurts. That's like right? All kids, they wake up in the morning, my throat hurts, right? And their nose is stuffed. And they feel, so how are you supposed to get up like a lion? And you get a little headache and all the krankites, right? It's very hard to get up like a lion. The answer is you have to develop the perspective that the Rebbe Hashem is always watching you, and he's with you at all times, and he's standing over you. And when you go to sleep at night, the Rebbe Hashem is watching over you, and he knows what you're thinking. And when you get up in the morning, the Rebbe Hashem is watching you. So that's going to energize you to get up. I think that's Pashup Shah in the Ramah. Okay? Okay. Next. Now, Halacha base. Now I want to speak out of Kasha. Also, part of what I want to do Sunday is maybe speak out some interesting, contemporary or interesting shailas that will come up from the page. Shivisi Hashem lenegdi tamid. Tamid, always? What does that mean? Is there the whole day I'm supposed to imagine Hashem saying, we know there's some places you're not allowed to think in Torah. Where? Beis HaKisei. How are you allowed to think about Hashem in the bathroom? Shivisi Hashem lenegdi tamid. What does tamid mean? Tamid means always. So in other words, what should a person do in the Beis HaKisei? You could do your bills. I don't know. Are you allowed to think about the Rebbe Hashem in the Beis HaKisei? Is it only Torah you're not allowed to think about, but you're allowed to think of Hashem? We're going to come to that, hopefully today. Beis. There are those who are accustomed to have a menorah of parchment, like Sfardim do. They have on a parchment a menorah, and the menorah is designed with the kapitel and tehillim lam natseach, beneginais, mizmar, Shiur, Elokim, Yichanenu, V'rachin, like what we say after Sir Sa'imar. And they mitsuyarim with images, L'haniach besudam, to put it in their siddur, V'koisvim b'hem, Shivisi, they write Shivisi Hashem Nagdi Tamid, V'shar Shemois, and other Shemois. Says the Mishna Berura, cut it out already, this practice of these papers with the menorahs. Why? Because the paper gets lost, the paper gets destroyed, and you're erasing Hashem's name. It is appropriate to be mevatel this minhag, ki ein mishamrin saklav karoi, because they don't preserve the klav properly. It also comes to erasing of Hashem's name, and okay, perfect timing. Uvimenoiros gedolos, and in let's see if we're going to get to it. Oh. Yeah, thank you very much. But in the big menorahs, thank you. I'm going to skip ahead for a second.
I'll stay.
You'll stay? Okay, fine. And in the big menorahs, that are pictured on a parchment, shekoivim bebeis hakneses lefnei ha'amud, that they put in the shul before the amud, tachas tavla shel zechuchas, under a glass thing. So that, in many shuls they have under the glass a menorah with Hashem's name on it. Mutter, that's permitted. Why? Because it's under the glass, it's not going to get erased. If you don't have the glass piece, ein likvaya, you should not establish this menorah with Hashem's name on it. Ki al yedei haneros yachal avdei mechikas Hashem chas v'shalom, because through the menorahs it could come to erasing Hashem's name. Fine. Next, halacha gimel. Kasvu b'shem ha'arizal. It's written in the name of the Ari. Sheyitzayer shem havaya tamid. Part of shivisi, you see, if you just read the mechaber, it seems like it's saying there should be a general awareness that you're always in the presence of Hashem. But what are you supposed to picture lemaisa? What does Hashem look like? So it's just a general awareness. I remember I used to go to Rabbi Victor Miller, Zechat Tzag Levracha, and he always used to say, "What's Yerushalmi? What is the fear of God?" Fear of God is to live with an awareness that you're in the presence of Hashem. But that's just like a general thought. It's not like you're picturing a picture or words. But now that Rizal's adding that you should be mitzayer, that you should be mitzayer in front of you always the Shem Havaya. Negate. In other words, you're walking down the street, and it's an exercise. It's not like a person naturally is able to do such a thing like this. But you should, when you're walking down the street, in your mind's eye is Yud Kei Vav Kei. Now, it means you're looking at somebody, you're talking, you're looking, you're busy. The Yud Kei Vav Kei is in your mind's eye. But moreover, there should be nekudos under it. What are the nekudos under Yud Kei Vav Kei? Benikud Yira. The nekudos of the Yud Kei Vav Kei should be Yira, meaning kazeh, Yud, with a chiruk under the Yud. The way you would be menaked the word Yira. So a chiruk under the Yud, a shva under the Hey, a kamatz under the Vav. Now you don't pronounce it and we're not allowed to read it, but you should envision it. And v'zeh toyeles gadol inyan hayira. It brings a great benefit regarding Yira Shamayim. Okay. Because my good friend Rabbi Eli came this morning, I'm going to skip to Ois Chaf, because this is the very first Biur Halacha in the whole Mishna Berura. Now, if this would not be the first Biur Halacha, then I would say there are a lot of nice things to do. A person can't do every nice thing that the Mechaber says or the Ramah says. Stick to the things you have to do. But this is like the opening thing. I would say, when you get up to Shamayim, they're going to open up the Mishna Berura, and they're going to start one by one. Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do this? So at least the first page you want to be good with. The first page you want to be answered. Okay, I did that. Now, then after they might say, "Oh, you did that? Okay, next." Bring in the next guy. Obviously, they're going to go through everything, but I think you want to be able to say, "I do the first thing." So it's a very interesting Biur Halacha. Let's skip to Ois Chaf. We'll come back in a moment. Yesh lihizaher. Now, it's interesting because the lashon of the Biur Halacha is nachayin ma'oy lizar. It's very correct to be careful. But Reb Chaim says it. You should be careful. Loymar koydem tefillah shachris, to say before shachris. I thank you, Hashem, my God and the God of my forefathers, that you took me out of darkness and you brought me to light. Anyone do that? Then v'koydem mincha, you say Moida ani lefanecha Hashem Elokai v'Elokei Avosai, shekeshem shazikisani l'oros k'sham b'mizrach, just like I was zocheh to see the sun in the east, kach zochisi l'oros b'marav. I should be zocheh to see it in the west. Basically, when you wake up in the morning, you should say, God, thank you, I'm zocheh to see the sunrise today. You made it to mincha, you said, Rebbeinu Shem, I saw the sun in the east, let me make it another couple of hours till I could see it in the west. Then, v'koydem arvis, yiratzim milfanecha, Hashem Elokai v'Elokei kishem shahayisi ba'afela, just like I was in darkness yesterday, last night, v'yitzeisani l'oira, just like basically today you brought me to light, kach toitzieni me'afela l'oira, so to take me out from darkness to light. Where in the world does this come from? It's not even in the Siddur. So one general rule is, you can't live your life based on what is and what's not in your Siddur. Just because there's certain things in your siddur doesn't mean you got to say them. And just because there are things not in your siddur, it doesn't mean you don't have to say them. You have to follow the halacha. The siddur is the most sellable item in Judaism. So what's going to be in the siddur is what people want to be in the siddur. That's a general rule in publishing. Most of the times, the thing that people want to be in the siddur are the things that you say. But it's not always consistent, necessarily, with what you have to say. Anyway, I have a sefer. I'm going to come to Rabbi Eli's bookmarks in a minute. So the first question is, how come I never heard of this before? And the answer is it's not brought down in any poskim. No poskim bring down, you should say this. Reb Chaim Kanievsky in the Orchos Yosher brings down, you should say this. The Bir Halacha says, it is correct to say this. So they asked Reb Chaim, why is this not brought down, not in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, not in Chayei Adam, not in, I don't know if the Yalkut Yosef brings it down, I can't tell you. But why is this not brought down anywhere? So, they asked Reb Chaim, why does the Mishna Berura say Nachain? That implies it's not Mamish Chiyuv, but it's brought in the Yerushalmi. And Reb Chaim says, well, the way I explain the Yerushalmi, you're not mechuyev to say it. How does Reb Chaim explain the Yerushalmi? So Reb Chaim says, I explain the Yerushalmi that a person has to thank Hashem every morning. You have to thank Hashem that the sun is shining. So it could be, maybe I'm just adding, we do thank Hashem that the sun is shining. You say, Yotzera Varech Hoshech. And it sounds like at the end of the day, you should be mevakesh, that you should see the morning. I don't know, maybe we do that. Maybe Goylel Or Mebnei Choshech, I'm not sure. But Reb Chaim says that Yerushalmi doesn't mean it's absolute chiyuv. And therefore, Reb Chaim says, the poskim don't bring it down. So they asked Reb Chaim, so why do you say that you have to say it? So Reb Chaim said, because the Mishna Berura says you should say it. If Mishna Berura says you should say it. So here's the bottom line. Are you mechuyev to say the tefillah? No. You're not mechuyev to say the tefillah. It doesn't say, if it's not in Shulchan Aruch, you're not mechuyev to say it. Even the Bir Halacha, he says it's very correct to say it. But it's the very first Bir Halacha in the Shulchan Aruch. Like, there's so many things we do that you don't have to do. Half the things we do, you don't have to do. So, it's not in the Siddur. So my good friend, Rabbi Eli Khan, produced these beautiful bookmarks, and as I was preparing this, said, you know what? Now there'll be a great opportunity to give these out. So Rabbi Eli was kind enough to come from Brooklyn, and here you go. Here are the bookmarks. You could use it, you could put in your Mishna Berura, you could. Now, here's the question. The Bir Halacha says you should say it before the Tefilla. Now, I've been trying to think about it. I can't say I do it all the time, but I've been trying to, because I have it in my bookmark in my Mishnayos. So this is very relevant. The shaila is, the Bir Halacha says you should say it before Tefillah. But what if you didn't say it before Tefillah? I forgot, I didn't say it this morning. Are you allowed to say it after Tefillah? So Reb Chaim says, you should say it before Tefillah. If you didn't say it before, you could say it after Tefillah. So here we go. Even, by the way, if you did the Bir Halacha once in your life, it's also a good thing. Did you do it? Yeah. On May, what's today? April 3rd. April 3rd, in the trailers next to Shari Amuna, I was Mekayim the Bir Halacha. Now you can put in your... Now, what if you're Mesupik, if you said it, could you say it again? These are tshuvas from Reb Chaim Kanievsky. It's called Das Noite. If you're Mesupik, whether you said it, can you say it again? Say it without Hashem. You say Elaikai. So they ask him, what's wrong with saying Hashem's name? You always say it's not like you're saying it in vain. So Reb Chaim said that since the Yerushalmi is not brought in the poskim, and you're Mesupik, you may have said it already, so therefore you say it without Hashem's name. Okay, so that's Ois Chaf. But it's interesting, the Gemara says, why are Risha'im, B'chayim, everybody have enough? I'll leave them out here, you could take them home, you could give it to your friends. 10,000? You could have one for every tefillah of the year. Send it out. Anyway, okay, so now let us progress. Ois Beis. Ois Daled. Vav mitzvahs chiyuvan tmidi. There are 6 mitzvahs. Their obligation is always. V'chol rega sheyachshav bahen. And every moment that you think about these 6 things, kiyei mitzvah saseh. You're mekayim mitzvah saseh. Ve'ein kates lamatan scharan. There is no end to the reward of thinking of these 6 things. These are called the sheish mitzvahs tmidiyos. And okay, these are called the sheish mitzvahs tmidiyos. Every moment you think about these, your mekayim reward, ein kates. You're walking down the street, don't check your phone. Every time you have the urge to check your phone, say, before I check my phone, I'm going to mekayim the sheish mitzvahs tmidiyos. Say, then I'm going to be mekayim these things 1,000 times a day. Gavaldik, what's wrong with that? They asked Rav Vosner, should a person really do this? He said, ta'amin li chabibi. Let me tell you something. Not a day of my life went by that I wasn't mekayim the sheish mitzvahs tmidiyos, at least mea pa'amim. We once spoke that at least 100 times. He said, Rav Vosner, he learned all day, 24 hours. When did he have time to mekayim sheish mitzvahs tmidiyos? 100 times. But he did. Mitzvah number 1, lahamin sheish elokai echad ba'olam, to believe there's one God in the world. Shehimtzi kal hanimtzais, that He brought everything into creation. Umechevtzai, and from His desire, uritzainai, and from His will, hu kol mashu achshav, is everything that exists now. V'shahaya v'shayiyah la'adeyad, that He was, He is, He will be forever. V'shehu ha'itzianu mi'Mitzrayim, and that He took us out of Egypt. V'nasan lanu es ha'Torah, and He gave us the Torah. Now that's a lot. Well, it's a lot of different things. The bottom line is, L'ha'amin sheyesh Eloika, to believe there's a God. That's it, in a nutshell. To believe there's a God. You're driving, you're at a red light. Every red light, I think, L'ha'amin sheyesh Eloika. When there's a green light, you could do the next one. Number 2, Ois Vav, Ois Hey, Shaloi namin b'shum Elokim zulasai, not to believe in any other God. So that sounds like the same thing, yeah? There are like a dozen shaila tshuvas here from Reb Chaim Kanievsky on the sheish mitzvahs tmidiyos. It's pretty amazing. Reb Chaim said that, one second, what's the difference between 1 and 2? So 1 is to believe there is a God, but maybe there's more than one. So mitzvah 2 is there's no other God. Shaloi namin b'shum elokim zlasa. There's no other God. Va'afilu moedesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu shoyled ala kol. Even if, in other words, let's say I say Hashem rules over everything. Rak sheyidame b'daito shemasar and hagas ha'olam l'malach. Let's say a person was, I believe God created everything, but he delegates. He gave her the running of the world to Joe, or to some malach, or to some star. If you believe that God has delegated the running of the world to any power, that's idolatry. You're over a love of Elo yamin shakadosh baruch hu b'chvoidoi uva'atzmoi mashgiach b'chol ha'olamis. We believe that God Himself, in His honor and His glory, He looks over all worlds. He is control over all worlds. Ve'ein l'shum nivra koyach la'asais davar bilti ritzaynei, and no being has the ability and the capacity to do anything if it's not the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So number 1, there's a God. Number 2, there's no other God. Even if the whole day I'm going shopping, I'm in the store, going up and down the aisles, every aisle I'm doing another mitzvah of the sheish mitzvahs tmidiyos. By the time you came out, you thought you came out and you saw the bill and you remembered that 3 years ago you could have bought 10 times as much food for the same amount of money, and you're just all stressed out because now you wasted an hour of your time. No, you're mekayim the sheish mitzvahs tmidiyos. Before you go into the store, say, I'm going to be mekayim it 1 time, 2 times, 5 times. Mitzvah Gimel, le'yachdoi, there's one God. Dahainu leida, that is to know. Ki Hashem shahoy ve'es hakol, that God who brought everything into existence, b'rtzoynoi, in His will, v'hu Elokeinu, and He is our God, hamashgiach b'chol ha'olamos, who guides all the worlds, hu Hashem echad, He is one God, b'li shum shituf, without any partner. God has no partners. So ask Reb Chaim, what's the difference between 2 and 3? 2 is you don't believe in any other God. 3 is there's only one God. What's the difference? You ready for the shaila? Kasav habir halacha. Mitzvah beis is shaloi namin in another God. Mitzvah gimel is that there's one God. Ha'im beis mitzvah seilu have asay v'loi sasay al inyan echad. Says Reb Chaim. Nachon. Meaning mitzvah 2 is a lav, and mitzvah 3 is an asay. It's the same thing. It's a lav, the negative prohibition not to believe in any other God, and a positive mitzvah to say there's one HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, let's see the final 3. Lehoiv hamakom baruch hu, to love Hashem. Now, how does a person love Hashem? Let's say there's a guy, he doesn't like Brussels sprouts. Just doesn't like it. Say, love Brussels sprouts. I don't like it. Love broccoli. I don't like broccoli. So I like broccoli. The guy over there doesn't like it. You can't tell somebody to, love that person. I can't stand him. It's, what do you want from me? How can you tell me to love him? So how could you say love Hashem? Either you do or you don't. There's something you could do that will automatically bring you to love Hashem. What is that? Learning Torah. Like the pasuk says, "V'ahavta es Hashem lekecha b'chol levavcha." How? V'hayu hadvarim ha'ela asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha. Le'oiv hamakom baruch hu, to love Hashem. B'yidei hisbonenus b'Torah, by contemplating the Torah, yakir es kedulasa shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you'll recognize Hashem's greatness. She'ein loy erech, that Hashem's greatness has no evaluation, v'loy kates, and no end. V'tisyashiv ha'ava b'libay, and the love will automatically settle in your heart. Behechrach, perforce. The inyan mitzvah, the inyan of this mitzvah is sheyireh ha'adam lahasim kol megamasa. A person should place all of his aspirations, v'chol machshavta, and all of his thoughts, achar avas Hashem yisparach. That means a person's goals in life should be governed only by love of Hashem. V'yarech b'liba, and make the following estimation: ki kol ma sheyesh ba'olam, everything else in this world, oisher, money, banim, family, kavod, status, hakol hu ka'ayin, it's all worthless, it's all unimportant. Neged avasa yisbarach, relative to love Hashem, meaning I can't. In other words, what comes first? Money, honor, family? HaKadosh Baruch Hu always comes first. The love of Hashem always is paramount. Now, sometimes the love of Hashem may dictate to pay attention. Sometimes the love of Hashem dictates, I got to go out and make a living to support my family. Sometimes love of Hashem dictates, I have to spend time with my family. But the paramount priority is the love of Hashem. You need to toil always in seeking out the wisdom of the Torah. Laman yasig yediyah b'Hashem, to achieve knowledge of Hashem. But somebody who affixes his attention to physical matters, and the emptiness of this world, not for the sake of heaven, rak lehisaneg, only to enjoy, ulahaseg kavod, bittul asezu is mevatel this aseh, v'anshay gadol, his punishment is very good. Let's say a guy says, I'm really into food. So I'm going to go, the new restaurant opened up, I'm going to go eat there because I like good, juicy steak. Why are you going there? Because I want to live it up. You're taking your wife? No. I just want to enjoy life and get pleasure out of life. So you're mevatel a mitzvah saseh of loving Hashem. Now, if you have kavanas, you're going there, l'shem shamayim, to strengthen your body, to serve Hashem, because the protein in that particular steak is going to energize you like nothing else. Or even if you say, I had a hard-working week and I need a perk, so, everybody will ask their personal moira derech. In other words, it's not like you just have to eat a piece of bread and a piece of chicken, that's all you're allowed to eat in this world. We're allowed to enjoy this world, provided there's some idea that I'm living a normal, healthy, happy existence for the sake of serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But just to an all-out pursuit of Gashmias, so then you're not living till you don't Do you love HaKadosh Baruch Hu? If you love HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so then your focus is going to be on Inyanei Ruchaniyim. Here's what we're going to do. We didn't do yet. Okay, let's do the last two. You ready? The final two is Yiras Hashem. Liyos Yiras Hashem Yizbarach al Panav Tamid. That the fear of God should always be on your face. So how is a person Mekayim Yiras Hashem? The answer is, when you're about to do an Aveira, you're about to steal, you're about to involve in Taivas Olam Hazeh, you're about to get angry, the mitzvah of Yerushalmi is to summon up the perspective that God is watching you and the repercussions for your actions. Someone who an Avera comes to their hand. Chayiv lahayar ruchay has to stir his spirit. V'lasei saliba and pay attention. But Isai Perk at that moment, Shakadosh Baruch Hu mashgiach b'chamas v'nei adam, that Hashem's watching over you. Afim b'machshach maseim, even though you're acting in darkness. V'yashiv lahem nakam, and Hashem will pay back. L'fi rayam I said the repercussions of your actions. Right, as Rabbi is pointing out, the first halacha was place Hashem before you always, and then miyad yagir love hayira. Okay, and then finally the sixth mitzvah tamidius is shaloi nasar achar machshava salev, not to be drawn after the desires of the heart. Don't think about immoral things. Don't gaze at immoral things. Don't entertain thoughts of avodah zarah. Don't allow your mind to dwell on low matters. V'riyas ha'inayim, k'may amru Chazal say, v'lo yisasur achrei levavchem, don't turn after your heart. Zu minus, that's apikarsus. Ve'achrei einechem, don't turn after your eyes. Zu zinus, this is arayos. Uv'chlal minus, included in apikarsus, is kol machshavos zaros, any foreign thoughts, shehu hefech das haTorah, which is against the opinion and the perspective of the Torah. Uvechlal znus, included in znus, hu misha roidef achar tavas ha'olam, is someone who runs after the desires of this world, beli sheichavin bahem klal lekavana toiva, without thinking at all for a admirable purpose. Koloimar shalayasa oisam, don't involve yourself in the desires of this world. If you're kedei sheyamed bari, meaning if the person is not eating, drinking, sleeping, involving in the pleasures of this world to be healthy, to serve Hashem, they're mevatel its mitzvah. If the person's kavana is always laharbos tanugim gedolim lenafshay. Now, there seem to have been a few mitzvahs that. Anybody know where this comes from? Who made up the sheish mitzvahs tamidiyos? It's not the Chafetz Chaim. It comes from the Sefer HaChinuch. Sefer HaChinuch says the remez to remember the sheish mitzvahs tamidiyos are the 6 sheish arei miklat tiena. There are 6 cities of refuge. So we say, why are the sheish mitzvahs tamidiyos like cities of refuge? Because here you are, you're tied up with all inyanei olam hazeh, and your whole life is being wasted. So it's a way to save your soul. It's a way to save yourself. Yeah, if they were shopping for an hour and a half, it's like, what is that? It's like just killing your time. Well, I have to drive carpool. It's 30 minutes to Far Rockaway and back. So it's a bittul zman. It's mamish ibad atzmei ladas. The answer is you have an arei miklat. Arei miklat is sheish mitzvahs tamidiyos. A kasha they asked Reb Chaim Kanievsky is, what about the mitzvah of ubay sidbak, devekos to Hashem? Is that one of the sheish mitzvahs tamidiyos? Connection. Uvay sidbak, to cling to Hashem, to devekos. It's one of the mitzvahs in the Torah. So here's the shaila: are you allowed to? That's one question. Are you allowed to think about the sheish mitzvahs tamidiyos in the Beis HaKisei? We'll talk about that more next week because I don't want to hold you up. But if you look in the Mishna Berura and Siman Hey, Mishna Berura talks about what should a person do in the bathroom. In Siman Hey, Sif Katan Hey, the Mishna Berura says you're not allowed to think about Torah in the bathroom, and he says you're not allowed to learn Hebrew diktuk in the bathroom. In case you're wondering, I can't learn, so I'll learn diktuk. I always wanted to learn diktuk, so I'll learn diktuk in the Beis HaKisei. And the Mishna Berura says you're not allowed to learn diktuk in the Beis HaKisei. Why? The only way to learn diktuk is to learn psukim, so you can't learn psukim. And you're going to think about psukim. Says the Mishna Berura, what could you do in the bathroom? Think about your lowliness. Think about, shiflus, anivos. Look what the human being has to do. It will engender humility. And think about you're ultimately going to be buried, and worms are going to be biting chunks of your flesh. That's always a pleasant thing to think about in the bathroom. Ve'ein no Elohi ha'gaiva, and gaiva is not appropriate. Interesting, Mishna Berura didn't say, what you could do in the bathroom? I could think about the sheish mitzvahs tamidiyos. Next Mishna Berura. So what should you do in the bathroom? Mishna Berura, do your bills. V'yachshiv sham cheshbonos beisai. V'hoitza oisav. Balance your checkbook, Mishna Berura says, so that you don't come to Hirur. So it seems like the Mishna Berura is not allowing thinking about the sheish mitzvahs tamidiyos. But they asked Reb Chaim Kanievsky, are you allowed to think about the sheish mitzvahs tamidiyos in the Beis HaKisei? Reb Chaim said, look in the Mishna Berura, Siman Pei Hey, Sif Katan Hey. It says Reb Chaim, the Mishna Berura says that you're not to think about grammar because it's going to come to think about psukim. But that's mashma that you're allowed to think about dvarim ruchoniyim if it's not going to come to think about psukim. And therefore, says Reb Chaim, it's mutter to think about the sheish mitzvahs tamidiyos in the Beis HaKisei. He's medaik it from this very Mishna Berura that seems to say you're not allowed to. He says the Mishna Berura says you're not allowed to think about diktur because you're going to study psukim. But I'm allowed to think about there's a God. I'm allowed to think there's no other God. So are we worried if I think there's a God, I might think Anochi Hashem Elokecha. If I think there's no other God, I'm going to think Lo Yeh Elocha Elohim Achirim. If I think they asked Reb Chaim, so why did the Mishna Berura say balance your checkbook? Why didn't he say sheish mitzvahs tamidiyos? He said not everyone's on the madrega. Everyone is on the madrega to balance their checkbook, but not everyone's on the madrega to be thinking about the Rebbeinu Shalom then. Let's pick up the discussion with Hashem next week. Thanks everyone for joining, and it was a good start. And B'siyat Shmaya we'll take it further. Rav Shlomo Kluger also has a tshuva about this. We'll talk about it with Hashem next week. Thank you very much.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.